Welcome back to Confessions of a Time Monk. We're back in Banja Luka at the Laszlo Institute of New Paradigm Research. And this week we're here for a symposium in a new paradigm in education. And we've had the pleasure of actually sitting down with one of the most inspiring speakers that we've had here this week. And this is Rabbi David Geffen, who is a self-declared love engineer. So David, what do you mean by love engineer?
Thank you. Great question. Love is the emotional, is the gooey wooey stuff, which is great. But there's also engineering, because I think it's not just by chance. I think we can choose to love. We can do things that help us to love more people and go more in depth. So the engineering is understanding what it takes to do things that help me become a better lover of humanity, and including my wife and children. So it can go in all directions. So I think it's not just a chance thing. I think you can learn to love. And in fact, that's the goal of what I'm doing, is to try and learn how to learn to love so that it's part of our educational system. That's the foundation of the paradigm. But I'm not sure it's a new paradigm. We've been talking about love for years, but we're trying to get it done.
You're translating this into a very specific place. You're translating this into the classroom.
Into the classroom.
And creating a loving classroom.
Absolutely.
So,
I think, yeah.
Inspire us, because your speech this morning where you described this, it really feels like you've hit a sort of master key to create global change. So give us a...
Maybe it's because I'm dyslexic, but I find it very hard to read signs and everything. And so when I get all these complicated ideas, I get like confused. So I wanted to take all these wonderful ideas and make them quite simple. And I think the key is taking the global love ideas and making them into very practical activities, but not random activities. Like I would be writing and I'd give it over to my wife and she'd say, well, what difference does that make? Like, you know, she's very down to earth. So I made sure to marry somebody that would make sure that everything I did was actually relevant to the kids' lives and not this abstract thing. So I think the journey has been, how do you take these very beautiful, complicated ideas and make them very practical and simple?
And you've described this to us through 4 H's, and we know from our daughter's Steiner education, which had the sort of moniker of head, heart, hands, but you've added another H.
Right.
And so these 4 H's, can you describe those to us?
The H I added is what I call the humanity being. Just like the human being is all these different parts working together in harmony and creates a lovely human experience. So the humanity being is all the different parts of humanity working together in harmony to create a much higher level of humanity experience of consciousness, etc. So I felt that the humanity being is very important for various reasons. First of all, I believe that evolution is the journey of humanity to become one. And when we're one, we resonate with the ultimate oneness of all of the universe. I don't say that in the school so much, because like, what are you talking about? But the humanity being gives you a vision of what that oneness is, and the kids can see this humanity being, and then you can define some terms which are very divisive in society typically, but become very simple and obvious. For example, good and bad. So what's good? Good is which brings the humanity being together in health and well-being. Bad is that cuts the humanity being up into bits. So you can be in a Muslim class and that's like, yeah, okay. The fact that it's almost boring is fantastic, because it means they're just, and you can be in a Jewish class and yeah, that makes sense. Or a Christian or an atheist class. And suddenly you've got all these kids saying, yeah, that's good and bad, and they can work together. So I think it's very important to have this simple, and it's very easy to say over, and we've got a nice graphic, because then everybody can come together and they're sort of agreed upon a common goal. We want a healthy humanity being, and they can work together. And then the head, heart and hand is in service of creating a healthy humanity being. Otherwise, sometimes I ask teachers, is listening good, or is love good? And they'll say, well, of course, yes. But not necessarily, because you could be listening to somebody that's teaching about destruction and death and oh my gosh, or you can be listening to somebody that's very wise and loving. So listening itself is a tool. So how do you apply the head, heart and hand is very important. And that's why you needed the extra H, that we're listening and relating and doing in order to create a healthy humanity being, which is the big oneness, as well as each individual has to be healthy as well. Just like in a body, each cell has to be healthy and the whole system has to be working. So it's a beautiful model, and everybody around the world can very quickly click in. And that's why I find myself with all sorts of groups that I
And they are clicking in around the world.
Yeah.
So you've introduced this into classrooms not only in your native land.
Not only my native land, in Soweto, we're in South Africa and in England, and the most exciting thing for me is in Israel, I was asked to translate it to Arabic, and I'm now working in Muslim schools. And even more mega exciting for me is I now have contacts with educators in Gaza, which is a dream come true, like, oh my gosh. And they see the beauty of creating loving classrooms independent of the rest of the world. It's sort of like, just create a loving classroom, and then suddenly when it's genuinely loving and people are really relating to each other, they suddenly say, wow, this is the way the world should be. And that's transformational. Without talking about the problems of the world, suddenly everybody's saying, wow, this is the way we should be in life. So, and since, for me, I don't care about the outcome of what the love produces. I don't care, I say this, I don't care if it is Jewish or if there's Muslim, Christian, whoever wins, or all of us, or I don't care about the winning or the lose. I just care that all these groups are relating to one another lovingly. So the chap in Gaza, he picked up on that. He said, wow, you actually just want us to really communicate, and you don't care what the solution is, because it's for us, the humanity being, to figure it out, not for me to sell my beliefs. And that process of loving relationships produces the peace. So it's very pure, because I don't have that agenda of selling a value. I'm just selling the virtues of what create loving relationships. And that way I'm in touch with humanity. And it's wonderful. Even the people that people would think are the enemies, they're just lovely. Can I tell you a little story?
You can. And then I want to also ask you about something that you related today, which I thought was a very practical example of what you're putting into place. So tell me your story.
Well, my story was, for me, it was wonderful. It was this year. We're working with the mayor of Abu Ghosh, which is a Muslim, has Christians in it as well, but it's an Arab town in Israel. And the mayor decided he wanted to bring the program to his city, and he set up just before one of our festivals, he set up the meeting in the morning with the head of education for the city and the head of the schools, the principals. And our meeting was at 11 o'clock, and I got a phone call at 9 o'clock saying, sadly, the brother of the mayor just passed away and we have to postpone. So I put the phone down and I said to my wife, now you have to understand, for me, it's a journey as well. I'm wearing one of these, I'm a rabbi, I'm this Jewish rabbi guy, you know what? And I said to my wife, I said, do you think I should go to the funeral? And my wife immediately said yes. So here I am driving and I'm looking for the mosque, just before, like, excuse me, where's the local mosque? And I turn up, and there weren't any other Jews there. There were 500 Muslims there, praying, bowing down and everything. And I'm by the mosque entrance. And then the mayor, when he comes out, he sees me, he says, would you escort me to the grave? I'm surrounded by these hundreds of Muslims, this Jewish rabbi, there weren't any. And suddenly they came up to me and they said, it's good. It was very close to a Jewish festival, which is called Yom Kippur, which is a day when you purify your soul type of thing. And they all said to me, it's good that he passed away next to Yom Kippur because his soul will be pure. And we wish you well. And I was surrounded by hundreds of Muslims coming up to me, this rabbi character, just bombarding me with love. I was quite shocked how much love there is out there. And you don't hear it in the media so much, I suppose, but there was so much love. And when I asked them, how many schools do you think over there that we're not allowed to talk to type of thing would want this program? They said, it's so beautiful, at least 90% of the schools. Wow. And I thought it was going to be like 5%.
Right.
But there's an enormous amount of genuine goodness out there that we don't realize. So it was just like one of those experiences of floating in heaven. And I just fell in love with all of them. And and I'm not talking fluffy love. That's the beauty of Loving Classroom. We're working together to see how it fits into the timetable and the problems of this teacher that doesn't like that teacher. And we're working together. So the fact that we're not just talking about love and, you know, just little nice get-togethers, but we're trying to work together, creates real relationships.
And you have tools. And you have tools in this.
So,
and the book that you...
So in the book that we have, which is over there,
yeah.
One of the tools that you asked me to speak about, and there, again, it's the issue of simplicity, taking these things and making them so simple that anybody can do them. So we just ask people to write a little note to, you know, to somebody that they're maybe not getting on with so well. So they write this little note, very nice. And then we put on a simple slideshow, beautiful pictures of the world, some nice calming music. And we say, you know, just enjoy these beautiful pictures and get into the beauty of the world. Anybody can do that. Like, it's nice. And now write the same note, or write to the same person with the same goal of trying to fix the relationship. And it's incredible. Like beforehand, it's more along the lines of, you know,
agenda.
I'm really frustrated with the way things are going. And I think we should work it out. And I think actually that sometimes you're just like not listening to me. And it's very blaming and judgmental. And after getting in touch with the world, it's more like, wow, we should be getting on, and, you know, whatever the problem is, let's just get it together and we'll work it out.
Yeah.
And life's good. And so with a simple exercise, you can see you can transform a relationship from one of judgmentalism into one of love and constructivity. So a simple activity, well, that's why I say you can choose love, because you can choose to get into that mindset, and then it's so constructive and real. So if you have one, that's nice. If you have 100 of these things in the whole curriculum, you actually transform to become a loving person. That's why we said love engineer. That's the engineering of love. It's mastering these tools, these simple tools that actually have a very profound impact on the way we relate to people. Not only relate to them emotionally, but practically as well.
I also loved this story that you told about a class in England. And one of the exercises is that the students are asked to set a date 10 years in the future to meet.
Absolutely, friends for life.
So can you speak about that? Because I think this is such a beautiful example of how we can support one another, not just in the immediate time, but we're looking after each other in the long term. Another
one, I have to thank my wife and my friend Ellie Joseph, best man at my wedding, and I think all the people that helped us to get there, but thank you. Friends for life, and the idea is if you're sitting with 30 people in front of you and they're in the class and you have this little talk and you say, you know, some of us will become financially well off and things go well, and some of us will be suffering, and it's very hard. We'll be like, you know, how do you buy that bit of food? Sometimes it's tough. Some of us will become healthy and well, and some of us will suffer physically. Or our children, you know, there's all these problems, and it's very debilitating. Some of us will have happy marriages and it goes well and we're together, and others will get divorced. That's the way it is, and that's painful. You know, you don't get married to go through that pain.
And you're speaking to children who are what age?
14 years old, 15 years old. In fact, it's an interesting thing we do. When we introduce it, we say, how many of you want to get married to a partner? And then 99%, a lot of hands go up.
Right.
The majority of hands do go up. How many of you intend to get divorced? No hands go up. Well, I'm sorry, about 40, 50% will be.
Right.
So why is that? What's going on? So Loving Classroom is trying to give the tools so that if you don't want to, you know, go that route, here's a few tools, maybe it'll help. So it's not only focusing on the ethics of business or the integrity of business and other areas of life, but it's also focusing on the personal life, how we can have good relationships at home and family.
So
but let's go back to the thing.
You ask those kids to then set a date.
Yeah, so we asked. So the Friends for Life program was, some of you will be very well and happy marriages, happy life, well money, and others will be suffering a lot. Do you care if the others about the suffering ones? If somebody's in the gutter, really hurting? I'm not talking about the world, I'm talking about people in this classroom. If somebody really suffering, do you care? Now, at the beginning of the course, they would say, of course, yes, because it's socially correct thing to say, yes, I care. But by the end, they really do care. And they said, well, if you really care, why don't we meet in 10 years' time as a class? But not just to have a nice drink and, you know, oh, this is wonderful. Do you remember that time? But we care with our antenna up, like, oh, is that person, you look a little bit, how are you? And when the person says, oh, I'm okay. And that you find a place to talk, but not in an arrogant way. Oh, I remember, you know, love and client. But you find a way. And sometimes one person's not the right person for the other person. So you say to the third person, you know, maybe you should speak to her once, thanks, because I think, and so you care for each other so that we're not alone. So each one of us has a personal social worker over life, you know, that we need. Nobody should ever be lonely in this world. So as you go through, there are people there that actually understand you and they'll be for you. So I can't be a social worker for everybody, but I can be for the people in my classroom. Once every 10 years, well, that's not too overburdening on my... It's not a huge commitment.
But it is a huge commitment.
But it is a huge commitment because you're connected for life. And then after a while, you know, when you meet them, you can go out for dinner. And some people, it's, you know, so you're not responsible even for all 30 in the classroom. Maybe one or two that maybe you can help, or you need help. And I'm going through hard times. I do need help. You know, which you sometimes you're the help and sometimes the help, the helped. But that's what real friendship is, that you maintain a connection and care over a lifetime. We've been together for 10 years, like we were put together, and that's the way it is. So we'll stick together for a lifetime. And then they argue, you know, they have an argument about when to meet. Like, should it be 8 o'clock or 8:30? What's different? Well, we've got children and everything, like, you know, babysitters. And I thought, that's a major argument. You know, like they get uptight about that one. But then you allocate 2 people to be responsible for the list. And they, you know, today it's emails or Facebooks or Twitters or WhatsApps. In 20 years' time, it will be whatever it is. But there's 2 people that are responsible. So 10 years' time, 2 people responsible for maintaining the list and making 10 years to go, 5 years to go, 3, 2, 1, boom. And then you choose 2 other people for the next decade. And
maybe they'll start meeting every 5 years when they are connected.
Well, that's what I'm waiting for them to say, but I don't want to force I don't want to force it. Other people say, well, it should be every. Let them make that decision. But I wanted to make it as easy as possible, and then they'll choose their own pace that fits their style.
So, David, if people who are watching this actually are interested in this program, how can they find you? How can they find this? What are they looking for?
Well, friends, FRIENDS, at lovingclassroom.com. One word, Loving Classroom. Friends at lovingclassroom.com. I will be delighted to follow up in local schools. We have programs from South Africa to England to Israel. Now we're developing it in the US through to India.
And what languages now?
At the moment, we are English, Hebrew, Arabic and Russian. The book's been translated in those and developing in those areas. We're here in Italy, so I'm open to doing something in Italy.
Collaborators who are interested in working with you to translate
Absolutely.
this?
We're looking to run the program in 100 schools in 10 countries over the next 3 years. So
and you're
that means 100 schools in Italy or
100. Yes, as well in this.
I'm particularly interested in looking for teachers that want to be trained as groups for schools so they can run the program.
And what's the commitment if someone wanted to be trained to do this work? What's the commitment?
If you want, we have before, during, and after. So we have up to 5, 6 meetings, 2 before, 2 during, and 2 after, to help them. And there's a PowerPoint that comes along with the book and all sorts of tools online. But what we do is we train them how to use the PowerPoints, and then they go through the system. And the topics we cover are respect, compassion, listening, kindness, gratitude, love, care, and friendship. So we train them how to take them through all these qualities, and they start up with the humanity being, going down to practical hand, the care and friendship being down to earth with this stuff. It's very real. And so somebody that phones up, we'll give them videos, we'll give them direct training, we'll give them the material, how to get it done. They will be empowered. I'm not interested in doing the work myself because that's not scalable. What we are interested in is training people to train people in the local area. So some people may want to be trainers of teachers, other people may be teachers themselves that want to be trained. whoever you are, on whatever level, if you're interested in being trained in this material, it's easy to be trained because it's simple.
So if you're interested in building love in your classroom.
If you're interested in building love in your classroom.
This is the place, this is the man. Find this man and he'll give you the tools to begin to build this in your own environment, your own culture, your own family, your own classroom.
That's very important. We work with parents as well. Some schools ask to bring the parents in, kids go back and they do the program at home. There's loads of different subsections of this. Yes, so it's friends@lovingclassroom.com. Excited to hear from you and wishing you lots of love. Genuine love. That means head, I know there's goodness there. Heart, I want you to succeed. And hand, I'll be there for you.
Let's create a global revolution of love.
A new paradigm? No. Old paradigm of love, yes. but practically, real, let's do it.
Great.
Thank you.